And you get, and then you can play around with, you get, with the teal small parameters, you can get an optimal cabinet size, and then you can and an optimal port situation. Then you can play around with a couple things. You can play around with port diameter, and you can play around with cabinet size from there. But what you really want is an optimal flatness for an optimal transient response in the base area. Now you can extend and the base a little bit at the expense of certain things, but you don't want to do that. You really want the optimal situation. So Eminence has done that here, and here's what they've come up with. The VB is the box volume, and right there, and 2.83 cubic feet is smaller. I have to run you'd have to run that in terms of liters. I can't do that, but that's smaller than the 100-liter cabinet than is used by the Uruz. But look at the F3 right there. See F3, 43.52 hertz. That's not the 30 hertz that the Uruz claims. So what I did is I went ahead and put the same teal small parameters into a speaker calculator. Let me find that. And I changed the volume. Here we are. Forgive me, this is on multiple pages here. But I went ahead and put the same teal small parameters into a speaker calculator. There's a VAS. There's our QTS. And there's our FS. It wants a few more things, X max and all that, but that doesn't play into much. And I went ahead and added 2 ports because that's what the Uruz has, and I estimated that each port is about 8 centimeters, so it appears that from the photos. And then this calculator gives me the optimal. I calculate the optimal flat response, which it shows you right here. That's the optimal flat response. And then on the right side, I was able, okay, with the optimal flat response, let me go back up. It gives me a cabinet volume of 58 liters. Again, smaller than what the Uruz uses. This is 100 liters. So I simply took all that same stuff and I changed the cabinet volume to 100 liters, but everything else being equal. And it gave me this curve here. So it did extend the base a little bit deeper at the expense of a little bump. We get a little bump right there, using non-technical terms. And we get an F3, which is the cutoff frequency, -3 dB, of 40 hertz, not 30. Not 30. Interesting. So I still don't know how they come up with 30 hertz. Except one other thing. Don't know if this is true or not. So I can't come up with 30. What I did is I took the Legend BP102, which they did not use. They didn't use this one. But the Legend BP102 has a lower resonant frequency of 35 hertz. And it has a different VAS as well that is conducive to a much lower F3 once it's in the cabinet. So I took the BP102 and I went ahead and put this into the same speaker calculator. Hold on a second. Here it is. second one. So there we go. There's our new VA. This is 48 hertz. So forgive me, I'm bumpering around here. There we go. There's our new FS 35. There's our new VAS. And again, it has a new QTS, slightly different. But I kept the 2 ports the same. And I calculated the optimal flat response. And guess what? The optimal flat response came up with 112 liters for the cabinet. Didn't even need to change the cabinet size. So it comes up about 100 liters for the cabinet, and the F3 is 31.92 hertz. Isn't that interesting? So you get an optimal flat response on the speaker calculator using the BP102's teal small parameters. But they didn't use the BP102, they used the B102. Interesting. I can't explain it, folks. So, how do they get 30 hertz out of the B102 is beyond me. Now, I'm going to wrap this up, but on the website, it just says 30 hertz. It doesn't really say how many dBs down. But I remember on the speaker calculator last night when I was doing that, with the B102 speaker at 30 hertz, it was something like at optimal flat, it was like negative 17 dBs. So far down that you wouldn't even, it would be criminal to specify 30 hertz as your F3. F3, 3 being your negative 3 dB. I can't explain it. But these are things I like looking into. It's not often that I can get a speaker where I actually have the teal small parameters of the driver being used, and, being the inquisitive person that I am, I just like looking into things. But that's it. Doesn't mean that's here nor there. Doesn't mean anything. I'm just laying out some information. But I'm still excited about it. That's the woofer section. I have no idea where that woofer's crossed over. Let me say this. Let me get back to that. Let me say this. If I know they're using the B102 because you could see it. This is the driver they're using. It's identical, especially when you see the color photos of it. I'll say this. When you look at that frequency response, they can't be crossing over much higher than 3 kilohertz. 4. Five. I mean, it's got to be somewhere in that area. Look at that dip between 2 and 3. That could be a whizzer cone interaction right there, that whizzer. But they got to be crossing over somewhere there. And they're using a ribbon tweeter. And ribbon tweeters don't like to go low. Some ribbon tweeters have real problems at lower frequencies. They don't like to handle lower frequencies. A lot of them don't like to handle upper mid-range, lower mid-range. You know, they want to be high. They're wonderful, but they don't like to go low. They get some of them get a little distorty. So I'm guessing that this. I'm going to guess that the Uruz is probably crossing over around 4K, and they're using the B102 for, you know, basically essentially for your bass and your mid-range, both. So you can almost call that a, you know, well, I was gonna say quasi full range, but it's not really. You can't call it that. It's a bass mid-range driver. So that answers one of the questions I had yesterday. Are they using this as a full range driver? No, it's not a full range driver. This is not a full range driver to begin with. It's nothing more than a bass mid-range. I was fooled by the Whizzer yesterday, but thank you to my subscriber who sent this to me. I don't want to say his name because I don't know if people are sensitive about being mentioned. Otherwise, I would. I should have asked you, but I will next time if that's okay. But thank you for the person who let me know about this Legend B102 being used. I love looking into this stuff. And again, this looks like a. Let me sum it up. This is a hell of a. There's two things. This is a hell of a good driver. I think it's. I'll use the word audacious again for the designer to use this. I think it's great. I'm looking forward to it. This is a high quality driver. From a cost ratio perspective, at least from the prices that I'm seeing, when you look at the price ratio of these two drivers for a $1,200 pair of speakers, that's incredible. So far, it's looking like a bargain. If these speakers sound anywhere, you know, reasonably decent. This is a very, very high quality driver in this price range, for the overall price of the speaker pair. And if this ribbon, I'd love to know the brand that the designer is using for the ribbon tweeter. Boy, that would be great to know. Love to look into that one. But so far so good. I'm liking what I'm seeing here. I'd love to know how they get this thing down to 30 hertz though. Again, I know how they get the BP 102 down to 30 hertz. That's easy. The teal small parameters are different. Unless someone made a boo-boo. But I doubt that, because I'd seriously doubt that. But one thing's for sure, when I get these speakers, I've got a lot of gear. I've got a lot of test equipment for repairing and testing amplifiers and electronics. I don't have acoustic test equipment, but I do have the ability to do a fairly unscientific but fairly accurate determination of where the bass, acoustically, where these things are going to roll off. And we're going to do that test. And we're going to find out, both in room, and I'll take one outside and do a anechoic test out in the field somewhere. And we'll find out where the negative 3 dB point is on the Uruz. We'll find out when I get them. We'll do a fact check on that. That'll be fun. But this is all just factual stuff. And let me say this. I don't care. It's interesting to note, but I don't care whether it's 30 hertz or 40 hertz. I care about the sound. So don't get me wrong. You know, I care about how they sound, first and foremost. I've Told you before, I'm more of an equipment file than an audio file, but when it comes down to it, I'm more interested in how they sound. That's what I'm looking forward to. And I'm really excited so far. So far, so good. Well, if anyone was able to sit through this entire thing, good for you. Thanks for hanging with me. Another day here in Central Virginia. Sorry I had to kill a tree for all this stuff. What limited editing software I have doesn't work anymore, and my other previous camera doesn't work anymore, so all I have is my cell phone now. So everything's got to be done in a single take, without any insertions of fancy graphics, no music, no script, just me talking, doing my thing. I do the best I can. And also I have this pesky little thing called like family and a career and a busy life to deal with too, so I try to wedge it all in and do this as well. So I hope you found this enjoyable and informative, and I'm going to keep this going, and hopefully I get these speakers in less than 8 weeks, if they even ship them to me now. Now if someone watches this video, they might say, cancel that order, this guy's a knucklehead. Oh, I wouldn't doubt that either. Alright guys, I'm back to work. Stereo Police signing out for today. If anyone has any information on the on the origin of the Uruz name, Uruz, and also the make of the tweeter, the ribbon tweeter they use, that would be helpful. I'd love to dig into that one. If anyone watching this has a pair, that would be cool to hear from you. Love to hear your thoughts on that. In the comment section or anything. Happy to hear from anybody. Thanks everybody. Until next time, ciao.